All right, here's part 2 of the interview. Since the video cut off, so since Kurt has been pretty quiet, what do you have to say about the last, like with addiction and sobriety and stuff?
I had a really dark period in my own life, so I won't get into the real details of that, but I just kind of made it through. So when I play my music, I put those things into my music, so I don't speak a lot of words about it. You can come hear it and tell me what I said.
Once you are into the cab,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He flexed those bass strings extra hard them days.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what I talk about, like being in the right band.
Yeah,
Because it's
right.
like when I bring those things, subject matter, things like that, to the band, nobody's just like, dude, like you're bringing us down here, man. Everybody's like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm with you. It's a great line,
man.
It's a great line. I like that.
that guy.
Yeah, it's a great line. I got just the riff for that. Or like,
Right.
that's a great line. I know exactly the feeling you're talking about. I think
Right,
it'd be
yeah.
a great fucking track. Let's do it.
We want it to be real. I mean, when I joined the band, John was already in the band, and Jody and I had just joined ranks, and I talked to John about just how he's able to perform the way that he does, because even for me it's inspiring, because I watched them play probably 5 shows before joining up, and I just kind of wanted to see just the dynamic that John would bring us an already great band, and when I asked him about how he's able to be on point pretty much each night, and he talked about you need to make sure that you write with conviction, and it's something that has meaning and depth, something that means something to me, because it's I don't have to cultivate a feeling in order to keep that honest every night when I sing that lyric. And I thought that was really endearing, because it's not a lot of people doing that. Like, I mean, I know we're desolate North Dakota, but I don't think our peers are doing any of that, and it's not to judge them, but I mean that's something that resonated with me, and it made it to where it was really a no-brainer to join up, and just out of respect for everybody's musicians, because I've been friends with Damien and Kurt, and through my band, and John I knew in Skeleton Rose, and it's cool that somehow we all found each other, and we all have the right drive and vision and collective goal.
That was the craziest thing too. It's like when I had the opportunity to audition, I was talking to Damien, and I've told him this a million times. I think he's probably one of the slickest, classiest songwriters I've ever run into as a guitar player. Like, the way that the lines work together, like, a lot of people will talk about my lyrics or performances or whatever else, but the thing that I tell everybody after shows, it's like, it's pretty easy for me to sound awesome in front of the band that I get the honor to play in front of. I don't think people really realize that, like, how great of players everybody in this band really, really is. Like like Famine, even like start to finish, Bury Me, a lot of these older Shotgun anthems are so fucking well written. Like, it's really, really incredible. Here's a good story for you. Taking it, but you want
being in a band and playing in your bedroom?
just play in your bedroom.
I'm gonna do this place one day.
You know what it
Never
reminded
giving
me
up
of?
the ghost, just
Exactly.
You know what it reminded me of, and I never got a chance to share this with. When we went to go see Metallica, remember that? We were hanging out. I wasn't in the band yet. We saw each other in the parking lot or whatever. We were just bullshitting on our way in, and Dave was like, "Oh, I've been stoked to see Metallica for years, man." And I just like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, it's the first song I ever learned how to play was Seek and Destroy." I have no idea if that's true. That's what he told me then.
That's the first song.
It was it? Yeah. And I told Becca as soon as you walked off, I says, like, I fucking believe that. And I'll tell you why. Because when Kirk Hammett joined Metallica, and it was the first song he learned was Seek and Destroy. It was the first one they taught him. And his big quote that always sticks with me when he knew he wanted to work with James the rest of his life, is he was like, the songwriting in Seek and Destroy was just the classiest type of riffs, the classiest, everything made so much sense. It was smooth. He's like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's classy. Like Slayer's great. I love Slayer. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love me some fucking Slayer. But and I love Megadeth. I just saw Megadeth in Sioux Falls and stuff. They're absolutely
still
great.
killing it.
Yeah, but Dave's got a different vibe though. When you go see, I think best stage production I've seen out of the band ever. I love it.
It was like the
light
decadent
show. It
80s.
reminded me of like an arcade. It was in a good way. It was really
Yeah.
cool. But with Dave, you're kind of like the pizza guy from Tenacious D. When he's watching him, he's just like. You just gotta sit there in awe of Dave.
Yeah.
Metallica though is like I always said Metallica out of the '80s were the best songwriters, like start to finish. Like, why are all those tracks just fucking bangers? And even if anybody, like, you might hate them because they're overpopular, you might hate them because you don't feel like they're metal anymore, you might hate them because of the career choices that they made, and those are certainly valid feelings and opinions. But as far as like their run in the 80s, those first 4 albums, it was just like nobody was as slick as songwriters as those guys. They just understood how many times to play a riff, what a good riff sounded like, and if it wasn't a good fucking riff, they just got fucking rid of it, and they wrote a better one. That was just the way that it was. They just had a good ear.
You didn't have anybody back then that could mix the heaviness with the quickness, and it makes sense.
And
You had bands like Exodus and Death and bands like that were trying to just play fast, and it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And Metallica came out and it had depth. If it wasn't for
structure.
Metallica, you wouldn't have Pantera, you wouldn't have all
And
the bands
structure.
that we love. You just wouldn't, because they set the structure
The bar,
for how.
really.
Yeah, they set the structure, the formula on how to write good heavy metal music.
And it wasn't, and this
know?
wasn't a whole thing to turn it into like my love affair with Metallica. This was to illustrate the point.
Yeah,
that it was like,
seriously.
Damien will sit up here for days and give you some guys some shit about Metallica. Believe that. Like he'll shit talk Metallica in the 90s period Metallica.
And you know, and
But
the bad thing about it is like, and then just so happens the first song I fucking learned how to play guitar is a Metallica song.
That's what right.
Okay. Love Metallica, early Metallica. The reason like that was the first song I learned to play is because I lived across the street from these metalheads. I wasn't really into metal, you know. I had this piece of shit guitar that didn't work, and you know, and these guys invited me over. They didn't want to invite me because they had black hair and I was pale, and they were like, "That guy's weird." You know. Eventually, they invited me over to hang out. You know, I walk in and they're all playing fucking Jacksons, and you know, they're fucking ripping on these awesome thrash songs, and here I am with this piece of shit harmony. I got a Jason Penny catalog. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, I know how to play a Green Day song. And, you know, and I'm like, they didn't judge me one bit. They said, "Hey man, we'll sit down. We'll show you how to play." And these fuckers drank Budweiser, and they were awesome, you know. And I was like, became my best friends, you know. And we jammed all through high school, you know. And you know, I'm very fortunate that I ran into people that are, and that's the thing with metal. You got people that aren't judgmental.
Yeah.
And still to this day, you know, my buddy Marshall Martin was one of them. Looked up to him as a guitar player my entire life. Like, he was doing stuff on a guitar that like I would only dream of. He's like, "You'll get there, man. You'll get there." And he got me started, and like, you know, it was amazing, you know. But first song I learned how to play, "Seek and Destroy," and I'm not kidding. I learned that whole fucking song, front to back, solo, everything, and I was proud of that. My 11-year-old son, he's starting to play music like that.
All right.
I told him, I was like, "You learn this song, you can pick any guitar off the wall." Little shit did it. took my PRS away from me, man. But you know what? I love the kid, and I'm a man of my word.
Yeah.
So it's all his, you know. And if he decides to carry the torch and go on with it, that wouldn't make me any more proud.
So it's like, you know, it's real easy for me to look cool or to sound cool or whatever in front of the band that I get the honor to play in front of. So it's like, we're not focused on too many blast beats, or brutality to us is not a math equation. It's not a requirement. There's not so many beats or snares or whatever. It's just getting the song right.
Yeah.
And working with Damien, I think, and Matt falls into that really well too, and so does Jody and Kurt, where it's like, we all kind of come from those same schools, and it all is a really seamless fit of how it all falls over itself.
It's just the passion. It's not about technical. It's about the passion and what you feel it. I tell you what. Okay.
But we'll just to cap it off. I felt like when he's like, "Oh, the first thing I ever learned to play was Seek and Destroy," he's like, I believe that.
Yeah.
Right.
because like,
Right.
I've heard your songs, bro, and they're slick and classy and just
So
smart,
like
smart
an
songwriting.
example of this is, okay. So on the album, there's a song. I forgot what it is now, but it's the one. It's Dakota Blood Stampede.
Make the drum sounds and we'll tell you.
No, yeah, it's Dakota Blood Stampede. And when we were done recording this song, we were just awesome that Kurt got the bass parts. Like, we all did it correctly, and
Yeah, the
we left
stops
it in
into the
there.
wah,
And we were like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. We left it in there because that's what it's like.
Seamless, no pause.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Well,
what
that
it's
was
like.
the cause.
You know?
We recorded it live, so like
Yeah.
everybody played all at once, and when everybody nailed it, everybody's like,
And
man.
the cool thing is my son was in the control room with Tyler, and then he is fascinated endlessly with all this music stuff that's going on, and he was in charge of the mute button, and he forgot to mute that, and we ended up keeping it, so it ended up being awesome, just that we were able to keep it. So, and he's super proud of that too. He's like, I'm the one that captured that by not doing my job.
The same thing happened when this new song that we're going to play, "See You in Hell," when we finally nailed it, like
At practice.
I practiced the same thing.
Yeah.
It's on the demo. It's like, yeah, fuck, we go, yeah, man, and it's just 5 minutes of like, yeah, it's fucking badass. Good job, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's
and that's what it's like, dude. I mean,
30 seconds of towel snapping and ass.
yeah, right. Yeah. Fucking hey, man.
Yeah,
But it's not fake though. I mean, we make jokes
No.
about it, but everybody's just fucking stoked to be playing music. So
What I'm getting at with that is it's oh sure. It's the passion of the song. So instead of being on the other end of it, of a technical, we got to have so many blast beats per minute, and we're going to program this machine, and all this kind of crap. And it's not about that. It's about how you feel the passion of the song, because you have to feel what the audience is feeling, you know what I'm saying? That's why people like music, but you get something out of it. You know what I mean? So when we create something and we could be proud of like it took us somewhere in our minds and our bodies, we traveled somewhere, wherever you want to go, and we came back with it, and that song, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that and playing it live, I think that's the big thing, is like, because we're trying to, we've got these riffs and we're piecing it together and we're figuring out how we're going to make these transitions between parts, and that excitement comes from the fact that we finally nailed it. The vision, the collective aspects that we put together, it all came together, and that's why we're ecstatic. And it's the other thing that's something different that we're doing that other bands aren't doing, that we know, playing live, like doing the tracks live, start to finish, and it's keeping that push-pull, not that rigid BPM like a lot of other bands. That helps keep it organic and fill with that live energy. And so what you hear on the album is what we sound like live, because we didn't like copy, paste, punch, click, and nothing wrong with that. Maybe one day we'll do that. Who knows? But right now, live works well for us, and you can hear that energy. I mean, some people nitpick it to a certain degree because it doesn't have the polish they're accustomed to, but it wasn't always punch and click Pro Tools. They used to actually have to play start to finish.
Oh yeah, there's you in the past you hear about bands that would write an entire album in the studio as the band. Everybody's in there playing from start to finish every song. It's not like the drummer goes and does the entire album and then the guitar player comes and does, and then they edit it together. No. They sat in the room for 6 months and made these fucking songs all together, and then went back and touched up this and that. But they did
And it might date us a little bit too to put it this way, but I always feel like instead of looking forward so much, we're sort of looking backward for inspiration, in the band. Not that we want to date ourselves or be out of touch, but it just, in terms of like execution and sound and songs and stuff, we're not super obsessed with like creating something no one's ever done.
Right.
We're obsessed with doing it correctly. And connecting
what
with the
sounds
audience.
good. Right.
What sounds, and we're getting the song right, just getting the vibe of it. And I feel like we end up looking like backwards for more inspiration than we do looking forwards. It's always like, man, this Alice in Chains track from fucking, it's on the album Dirt, and like I got this bass line and it sounds killer, and it just reminds me of that song. Or it'll be like fucking, okay, so it's like, okay, so fucking Harvester of Sorrow, there's this riff in the middle. I just feel like that's what gets kicked around our rehearsal space.
Oh, for sure.
More than anything else.
And it's funny because we'll do that, and then we know what we're talking about, though, as far as writing goes. Okay, so now I know what you kind of want me to do.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to get references from somewhere. So
I think we largely wear a lot of our influences on our sleeves, too. I mean, I get asked all the time what we sound like, and I hate to have to try to figure that out and I mean, that's tough. Everybody wants to categorize you, but I mean, when I talk about like influences that we have, I mean, I hear like In Flames or Killswitch Engage, Pantera,
Lamb of God.
Lamb of God.
We get that one once or
Somewhat
twice.
It's just-
a monomarth.
Yep, a monomarth.
Yeah.
Yep. Some people have had compared us to like some Demon Hunter, which is super cool. I think those guys are awesome songwriters.
Yeah.
So it's and it's not to say that we're any of those bands. It's just that we're inspired by it, and you're going to hear riffs or patterns or techniques that may sound familiar, like a Pantera type groove, but we're not ashamed of that. We're going to embrace it, and I think that in a lot of ways, by all of us mixing our influences and interests and even different bands that maybe John listens to that I don't, or Damien listens to. I mean, we all have kind of different mix. It's kind of, it's just, it kind of makes us who we are. And, you know, we maybe don't play the most notes, and we maybe don't have all the riffs in the world, but we know how to write riffs and hooks and a melody in a way that keeps people hooked in that aspect, that allows them to keep in the pocket to listen and understand some of the lyricism that's coming at them. And I think that's where a lot of people are gravitating, because it's just when it's super dark, even the riff across it, and it's heavy, there's something bouncy and catchy that breaks it up a little bit, and then it goes back. And it's just, I don't know, I'm super proud of what we're doing, and it's been awesome so far in this band. I'm excited to see where we go and what we do.
Yeah, as
And,
far as technical wise, like he said, like you don't have to like do all this crazy shit on your fret. Like that's just me saying this because my sweep picking sucks. But,
what's sweep picking?
what is that? But if you're just chugging on this monstrous riff, and it sounds amazing, and it's like why fuck with it, man?
Yeah.
Just kick it in the ass.
The tone's right and you're digging it. And it's just
I'm not gonna cheapen it with a sweep pick.
It's just kind of like, man, I'm sorry that I'm sorry it's so simple. The whole crowd digs it. Like, what are we here for? Like, if
Music is supposed to make you feel.
Yeah,
you write music for stuff that we enjoy to play, but you're also you're writing music for the people. I feel like some other bands maybe get that misconstrued. We don't write music for other bands. This isn't a competition of aggression. We should all band together and enjoy each other's music and respect one another's freaking music. Because
don't get me wrong. I
it's-
love a guy that could just shred up and down that. I envy those guys because they shred up and down that fretboard, and it's just like, how do you keep track of that, man? Like, that is insane. Like, I'm more interested in like just watching their hands, and it's like I'm hearing all this going on. It's like some of these kids on YouTube. It's like,
oh Jesus!
if you get in a band, like heaven, like help that drummer. He is not gonna be able to handle that. Like that bass player, he's gonna play with a pick. He's not using his fingers. I guarantee you. But some of this stuff I've seen these kids doing on YouTube, it's just like, it's amazing. It's like that's the next crop of musicians coming up, and it's like, it amazes the hell out of me. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But I can't do half of that stuff.
They had to read. They got people showing them stuff on YouTube and techniques. I had to read.
I'm 40 years old. Yeah,
I had to dig into magazines.
I had to go in school and I had to like print off the tabs and try to hide it from my keyboard teacher.
right.
And it's like, but like
a tab with your fucking ears.
yeah, exactly. And like that's the new generation. These kids that are coming up, they're gonna be doing this stuff, and it's just like. I'm 40 years old. I've been playing guitar since I was 13, and some of these kids have been playing for 7 years, and they're doing stuff that like I would have never dreamed of, and it's just like, it's intimidating. At the same time, it's inspirational to see to where I'm excited to see where music's gonna go. I'm excited for my son to see where he's gonna take music,
Right.
because I want him to be 10 times better than I'll ever be. And you always want that for your kids. You always want that for your peers, even. You're always cheering your peers on, and all that stuff. But like I said, as far as music aspect goes, like if you got a banging groove and you're sitting there and you're chugging on some nice notes, and the crowd's just sitting there and they're doing this, you've done your job.
Yeah.
You've done your
They're
job.
banging their head. They're stewing on it.
Yeah.
They're absorbing it.
You're doing good.
Not only that, like, I mean, if it dates us, I guess whatever. But we're gonna write what's real to us, and I think it's the differences between bands that makes us special.
Yeah.
Don't take that away from us. You know what I mean? Like, there's no disrespect, but there's a lot of dudes doing the blast beat. Like, death metal is really popular right now, so I feel like that's taken care of.
Right.
I don't feel like
That's adequately
that's
represented.
adequately represented. There's some
Right.
killer fucking death metal bands, and I'm happy to let them carry that torch. It's not what we do, and I think that that's special. The fact that like we do this thing, they do theirs. and we do our thing, they do theirs, and we all get together and like offer something different on these bills. You know what I mean? So I think that that's really super cool. So.
And so I'm excited to hear your new song tonight. So what all, like, how is this song like going to represent everything that's on the album, or how would you describe like the energy it brings to the new album, the next album?
Well, there's 3 new ones on the set list tonight.
Oh, nice.
One of them's we've played a couple times, but
We played it.
it's still very new and it's not out yet.
It's
It's just new.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the best way I can explain
We
it.
put it to
is-
tape, essentially.
Yeah, it just puts it to another level. It's not insanely crazy. It's still shotgun, but it's just not the 10 songs that we've done. You know, it's the next level.
I think there's
You
a
know.
definite swagger to the song.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, that some of the people that I mean, we've all got our little circles of people that we trust that hear the music when it's put to tape and stuff. The song we're opening with tonight's actually a brand new one.
It's almost
And so-
it's almost southern. That's all.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
there's a very
There's a
He
grind and a
plays
drag
guitar
to
and
it.
harmonica on it, so
That's
it's awesome.
if
We
you like
started-
down or corrosion conformity or anything like that. I mean, it's
Crowbar.
really that. It's really about. It's not a complex tune. It's kind of a based on what we were just talking about. It's finding a good groove and a riff that you can hang on, and it gives John a chance to really breathe. It's not so rapid fire. It allows him to stew within that groove, and it allows the bass line that Kurt's got on it is just particularly nasty
Oh, it's
on
amazing.
it. And it's one of these things, like when
It's
I think of
just
this
sweet,
song,
baby.
what it reminds me of is like you're on a gator boat in the fucking bayou and you're hunting. It's just, for whatever reason, just reminds me of that. And it's just like,
But you're hunting with a dude
but-
that's like 75. He's missing an eye, and he's got a
Yeah.
beard down to his dick, and he's just. You can't understand a word he says because they speak a lot of Creole down there, and so so you can't understand a word he's saying, but you know you're in the right place.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
know you're
wow,
in
we're
for-
out here hunting big head. Why is his name Big Head? Because he got a big head.
Right.
That guy, but that's the guy I want hunting a gator. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's,
But we started getting some compliment people talking about how we were almost a blues metal band, and there's a lot of bands that have a lot of blues influences. I don't know that I could point directly to a blues metal band. Pantera's pretty close in a lot of spots. Crowbar gets there every once in a while. There's a lot of bands that have
Down has some bluesy.
X Order
Yeah.
gets pretty close. I'm a big fan of X Order.
I love Down.
Yep. And so,
yeah, there's just a grit.
but that.
Yeah, Down needs to
but-
come to Fargo too.
Yes.
It's like, anyway, Phil, can you get here?
Show on, bro. Even if it's just you, let's hang out right now. Right, but like, even with Down, they won't call them a blues metal band.
No.
They call them like a sludge metal.
Yep,
band.
sludge.
And it's like, so we really wanted to take an opportunity to lean into like the heart of the blues, like back, at least where I went with a lot of like lyrical inspirations of where I've been hanging out is as far as like Sun Records, 1955, like the birth of blues and rock and roll and everything else. Where it was like Johnny Cash. Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Elvis Presley, all on the same label at the same fucking time. The birth of the blues and rock and roll where shit was crazy. People were hearing things they'd never heard before. And it's like you watch Elvis on like a TV spot in like 58. He starts Hound Dog and everybody's screaming so loud you can't hear anything he's saying. What I'm getting at is like they're doing things with that music that are making people feel things that they've never fucking felt before.
Mm-hmm.
So since people were kind of putting us into that blues category anyway, I was just like, well, why don't we just like dive the fuck in? And so like,
Just own it.
just own it. We're going there anyway. So
Yeah.
I started.
It's naturally happening, so you might as well just.
So we
embrace
just
it.
started owning it, and it's badass as hell, and it's very shotgun, and it was just a seamless transition. So that's where a lot, at least my headspace has been at, and the riffs coming out have suited that really, really well. And I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, but it's just like every track we finish, every tune we do, I'll finish lyrics for it, and it's just like, man, I'm in the right band because to be handed riffs like this, it's just like. I don't know, you get that stink face when your guitar players hand you some riffs, you're just like, yes. Like, I'm so excited to put lyrics on this. So it's when you're handed something like that you're really, really into, it makes the whole process a lot more seamless. And then I can be it's not hard for me to be passionate about the project, when I don't have to sell myself into it, you know what I mean? So I'm super into blues. These guys play a lot of blues. So it's pretty seamless still.
What song was that you wanted to cut the chorus section out?
Oh, it was $5 Bastard.
$5 Bastard.
Yeah,
The
I hated that
section,
chorus.
You hated it. I was like,
first heard it.
it ain't going anywhere, buddy.
Yeah.
It's staying there, so we're
Stay
gonna
there.
figure it out, and it ended up working seamlessly.
Well, and it's, I would think that's one of the songs, I mean, you get songs that you cannot cut out of your set lists.
Yeah, that's one.
And $5 now, I think people would be pissed if we if we didn't play $5. You
Yeah.
know, it's like we have to play it. You know, it's not only is it a single, it has a video, but people want to kill each other on that song.
I know.
Like you know, in a good way.
There's a good-
In a good
I
way.
need to put a safety net on this.
But like we get live videos back during $5. People are wailing like wildebeests. Like people are making noises I've never heard before. Like in these live videos and stuff. Like it's to reach people in that way. So you're doing something right when you start hearing natural reactions to that level of intensity.
An exorcism.
Yeah, right. Well, it's an active catharsis. It's the letting go of, and that's the point of art. I always feel like is connecting with people you never met over something you created.
Yeah.
And I feel like in Shotgun, we walk it, we talk it, and that's what we produce. So, might be a good place to end that. Only because gotta get back out to the merge table.
Yes.
Hey, I got something for you now. How did you like your stint being a stagehand?
I was sore. So I was a stagehand for Alice Cooper, a pusher, when he played in Grand Forks. And yeah, I was sore for a couple of days, but that was awesome. I got to touch the set and everything.
I got
How
to
did you
touch
like it?
things.
I like doing shows like
Kurt
I got
lives
to
for
do
it.
Yeah, I got.
Well, it's like in our ear all the time, but
When,
like, well, we don't have. Please tell me
when
that we're not
Slipknot was
booking
here,
that day
yeah.
because I'm
I got to
gonna
do that show, and then I got to
nice.
sit next door while they were practicing, or,
Oh,
right
that's
behind the curtain.
awesome.
So,
That was such a great show,
and
too.
I'm so glad that they put me in that. So that was
That's
really fun.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
if Phil comes, of course, you might think about visiting again.
Kurt's doing the rodeo. He's testing out all the bulls. Make sure they're rideable.
Oh my gosh. On that note,
All right, and real quick, because at Doom Nation Ball, we dedicate our interviews to all the veterans, and especially right now with what's going on in the world, which, oh my God, thank you to everybody, because we have, women and men out there fighting right now, so thank you to all of you.
Absolutely.
On top of that, the sacrifices that those people make, they can't take back.
Right.
So when they lose a limb, that shit's permanent.
Yeah.
And not only that, the psychological toll. it
Right.
takes on them.
Exactly.
right. We do thank you.
Yes, we thank you very much, and we appreciate your service.
Thank you.
All right, and one more question: when can we expect this new album?
Next year, probably.
Okay.
I would think.
Yep.
I might be pushing. That's what I would push for. I mean, I tend to push pretty hard a lot of times, so I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know if I'll get my way on that, but
No, you will.
But I think it's really important, especially in our area, to stay on like a solid 2-year schedule. Rather than taking our time with it. I feel like a lot of local bands can kind of get in their own way sometimes by not being deadline driven enough. One of the best ways that you stay relevant, one of the best ways that you can endure is to produce, take it seriously. It's a job, treat it like one, so next year, that's what I would shoot for. There'll be new music this year too.
Awesome. So
Couple
excited. I'm so excited for tonight to hear all the new music.
We are excited for you.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime.
All right.
Take it easy, stay brutal.